Hello again, I am Blunty. It's only been a little while now since the gaming industry has self-regulated a little badge, a little piece of text, a little nondescript, little slip, little bit of fine print down there when they publish a game that has in-app purchases or microtransactions or otherwise some sort of ongoing cost that just keeps costing you more and more and more and more and more, and kind of instead of, just like in the good old days where you'd buy a game and you'd have the game and you could play the game and that was it. Well, it's a very complicated world these days, isn't it? So over the last few days, there's been a lot of flailing on the internet about the new Crash Bandicoot game. It was announced and everyone was like, hell yeah, new Crash Bandicoot game. All right, I like me some Crash Bandicoot. I'll have some of that. And then it was listed on the Microsoft Store and it came with one of those little badges, offers in-app purchases. And people lost their friggin' minds. And rightly so, because it is, of course, an Activision Blizzard published game, and Activision Blizzard are notorious for being extremely sleazy and underhanded and just, in general, colossal douche canoes to, the end user, and extremely manipulative. And so it's understandable there is exactly zero trust of Activision when you spot something like this on one of the games. It is a full price game, and then you see offers in-app purchases, and at the end of the trailer you see that they were showing off some skins for the characters too. If you pre-order digitally, you get these skins for free. That little tidbit combined with the tidbit of offers in-app purchases, everyone was like, oh, well, I guess we'll have to assume that the game has a, cash shop for various skins and stuff. And a similar thing happened back in February before Animal Crossing launched, when exactly the same sort of situation presented itself. Animal Crossing was listed on Nintendo's eStore, and it had one of those little badges that says offers in-app purchases. And everyone went, wait a second, Animal Crossing with microtransactions? Hell no! Don't want me some of that. And everyone got really angry at Nintendo. And I even made a video about that. Looked like this. And my video was like, well, we don't know much yet, but it's going to be pretty shitty if they do this. I mean, it's Nintendo. They've been dabbling their, little feetsies in the mobile gaming space, although recent news has been that they don't like what's happening there, so they're pulling back from the mobile gaming stuff. But at the point, we didn't know that, and all their mobile games, almost all their mobile games, have some lousy, crappy, manipulative, douchebaggy, shitty little microtransaction stuff in them, which is why I don't even install them in the first place, even out of curiosity, because I don't want to give them any hint that that's an acceptable policy as far as I'm concerned. Grr, old man yells at cloud. But then it turned out that the in-app purchase thing, there were no microtransactions. And I'm still not exactly sure why it was even labeled as having in-app purchases in the first place, because there still are none. Unlike, of course, we come back to Activision, where there's zero trust for Activision, because when they launched Crash Team Racing Remake recently, they went on record in interviews and saying, nope, there will be no microtransactions. And here's a little snippet of that exact quote from an article. I'll link it in the down below as well. And they've flat out said, there will be no microtransactions. Which is what they've said this time as well. The developer has this morning put out a tweet saying, oh, there seems to be a lot of confusion about microtransactions in the new Crash Bandicoot game. I want to go on the record and saying there are none microtransactions in our game. The asterisk is probably sort of the subtext there is at launch, I guess, because guess what happened with Crash Team Racing? It launched with no microtransactions. It was reviewed as having no microtransactions. It was originally sold as having no microtransactions. They were promoting it as having no microtransactions when asked about it. And 1 month after launch, they shoved in a whole bunch of microtransactions because they're Activision Blizzard and they cannot be trusted ever. So whether or not you want to talk about the person who was giving that interview was misinformed or flat out lying, it doesn't really matter. You cannot trust Activision at all. So when they say this new Crash Bandicoot game, oh, well, just want to correct you, it doesn't have any microtransactions, you can take them at their word that it probably won't have any microtransactions at launch, but they'll probably roll them in afterwards because Activision can't be trusted. They've proven this again and again and again and again, and their benefit of the doubt has been whittled down to such a nanoscopic. It's basically, in the quantum physics just dictates it doesn't exist. There is no benefit of the doubt left for Activision Blizzard at this point. So do not buy that new Crash game at launch. Give it at least a month. Vote with your wallet. Tell them this shit is not acceptable. Wait. It's not an online game or anything like that. You won't lose out anything if you wait. You won't miss out on the surge of the multiplayer player base at the beginning of the game, and then it trails off and it becomes harder and harder to matchmake. There's none of that. It's a platformer. You can wait. Wait. Definitely wait. Do not pre-order this game. Do not give them your money at launch or within the first month of launch. The only language that Activision Blizzard understands is money. And even if they are being honest about this and there are no microtransactions and the in-app purchase badge is there because it comes with a pre-order bonus, essentially a downloadable skin that regular after launch users won't get or have to earn in-game via coins or something, I don't know, however they want to make that work. That may be the reason that it has to, legally speaking, have to have that badge, because it is a bundle of the game and these skins as a pre-order bonus, or however they want to word it. And that sort of shines a light on how inadequate this self-regulation is being as far as the detail that these badges give. They need to be a lot more specific, just like the age ratings are. When you get an age rating for a certain age, it'll tell you, the kinds of stuff that is in it, whether it's based around violence or sex or both or adult themes or whatever it is. There is, categories there. There is detail there. There is extra information there to give you some context about why this game may or may not be rated what it is. And if, you want that in your game, buying it for yourself or buying it for a child or whatever it is, the same thing needs to happen. There needs to be a proper outside regulation force pushed onto the game companies to make sure they don't confuse us, either accidentally or deliberately to trick us. There absolutely must be an outside regulation of this bullshit, so they detail exactly what the microtransactions are and how they are implemented. And if a company launches without microtransactions and rolls them into launch, say within a year, we'll give them a year of leeway, then there should be fines. There should be repercussions for that kind of underhanded, sleazy trickery like they did with Crash Bandicoot Team Racing. That was trickery. That was sleazy. And they got away with it for the most part. It's disgusting. There needs to be change. I know, of all the things we're talking about changing in the world at the moment, this seems like a really first world problem. But, it is. And quite frankly, in today's video, after talking about so many heavy things recently, I wanted a somewhat lighter topic to talk about that was still important and affects people's lives, because it won't take you long if you go looking to find stories of microtransactions ruining people's lives or making dramatic impacts of their lives. Do your research. If I'm going to do a callback to one of last week's vids, do your research. Microtransactions suck. Unless, of course, they are legitimate microtransactions that help support your favorite creators, for example. Does Patreon count as a microtransaction? More of a subscription, really. Oh no, am I a hypocrite? Thanks to these guys anyway, who enable my hypocrisy. Please, I need to live. I'm not as rich as Bobby Kotick, sorry. Freudian slip, right?